Hello, my name is Hans, and today we'll be changing the top and bottom radiator hoses on a Discovery 300 TDI. First job to do is to remove the cooling cap at the top of the radiator, place a small tube in as far down as it can go, and drain out as much as you can at the top of the radiator. This stops any coolant loss when you change the top hose and makes less of a mess when you drain it further on. Okay, first of all we unclip the cover off the top, place that to one side, loosen off the hose clips on the top hose, and we shouldn't lose any water out because we've drained the top of the radiator before, and that's the top hose removed. Right, the next thing is to take off the viscous fan coupling. Bear in mind it's a left-hand thread and we're using a correct fan coupling spanner. So we put the spanner on and we might have to shock it with a hammer to make sure it comes off. Oh, there it goes. And we have now got it loose, we can spin it off. Next is to remove the two securing clips for the radiator cowl. They just pull off, and then if we pull it forward and jiggle it up, it should come out at the bottom. Next step is just to shoehorn it out of the hole. There's a pipe clipped in at the bottom, just needs to be unclipped. Not the easiest one to get out. It does come out. Now we've removed the radiator cowling, we can see why we had to remove it. The bottom hose has a clip which has got the nuts pointing upwards, so we could not get that from underneath, so it's much easier to access now we've got the cover removed. Okay, now we've drained a bit of the coolant out and we've got the clip off the bottom radiator hose. We can pull it off from the top and catch what comes out in a bucket below. It'll probably go everywhere. Okay, now the coolant is drained out, unclip the little plastic pipe clip and then the oil filler cap so we can remove the acoustic pad off the top of the engine. Just need it a little bit out of the way. Put the cap back and remove the three other Jubilee clips that are attaching onto the pipe. Lastly, another one under the reservoir tank. Now we can hopefully pull off the pipes. Might be a little bit stubborn, but they will come off. Careful not to lose the clips, remember where they came from. Right, the pipe's released, we can just move it out of the way. This is the old one removed. Okay, so now we have the new bottom radiator hose to fit back. The first one I'm going to put back is the lower hose clip. I found that to fit this back on easier, if we just spray a bit of maintenance spray onto the pipes, makes sliding the rubber pipe over so much easier. Now if we lower it down into position, we can get the lower one on first. Then if we feed through this pipe which goes to the header tank behind the oil cooler pipes, we can then put the clip on, slide it up. Next to fit is the large clip on the top of this hose. That goes onto the water pump. This last hose feeds through under this pipe and onto the top rail. Okay, now I'm just going to put a little bit of maintenance spray. Slide it back on. As you can see, it's quite tight. Okay, now we've put the bottom hose and tightened up all the clips, we can now put the cowling back in. Note these clips that the lower hose that feeds to the header tank goes into. So now we have to shoehorn this back into position. It's a bit of a struggle, but it will go with a bit of perseverance. Note that the little two slots at the bottom are where it locates. Before it goes in, we'll just clip the hose onto those clips I was telling you about. Okay, so we've now got the cowling in position. Note there's a couple of little pegs that they lock into this top plate, and then we replace these metal clips. It should just snap into position, and then we can refit the top hose. I fitted the two clips on, sprayed a little bit of lube in to help slide it on, and we can just fit it over. They are quite tight. Then just remains to tighten up the hose clips. So now I've just lowered the viscous fan coupling and caught it on the first bit of the threads of the pulley. Note it's a left-hand thread, and we have to wind it on counterclockwise. And if we just spin it all the way there, that'll be all we need to do. Okay, now we've wound the viscous fan all the way up the threads, we can gently tighten it up with the correct spanner. This doesn't have to be tightened very tight, because the rotation of the engine will make sure that it's being tightened as much as it needs to be. And that's why it's a left-hand thread, because if it was a right-hand thread, the engine would try to spin it off and it would come detached. So no need to over tighten it, but that's all it needs. Now we've tightened up the Jubilee clips on the top hose and all the clips on the bottom hose, it's time to put the acoustic pad back on top of the engine. So just remove the oil filler cap and it just lays along the top. That's it. Fit the top cover into the slot at this side and then fit the attachment clip on this side. That makes sure that it's nicely secured.